A special experience in movie-going entertainment. The Apple.
I'll never complain again about a bad state of the DCEU.
And I will never complain again about Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and joining me today is Cody Leach. What's up, man?
What is going on, Durbin, and all my Durbanians? Or all your Durbanians, rather. But you know me. You guys know I'm in the Durbania sphere.
Oh, yeah, he is. Normally, he's here with the state of the DCEU, or catching me up on the latest horror film, or something like that. Cody is here with me today for a very special episode. This is a Patreon-requested video that is a mutual Patreon of Cody and myself. And so this guy, Ted, watched this movie a while back called Apple. And this movie came out in 1980, and he hated this movie. He hated this movie with an unyielding passion. But as his patron request to us, he wanted to see Cody and I do a roundtable on a movie that is just so bad, there are really no words to describe it. So before we attempt to describe it, Cody, where can we find you?
You could find me crying in the corner for the last 90 minutes that I just experienced. And then after that, you could find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Cody Leach channel, or you can just search my name, Cody Leach, and I'll be the first one that pops up. I got a lot of the same things that Durbin does, movie reviews. I also do music and video game reviews on occasion, editorial videos, top 5 rundowns, Pitch Wars, the first episode that me and Durbin did. I'll have the second episode out here sometime this week, so looking out for that one. And a lot of horror-centric stuff going on my channel lately. I've been diving into a lot of horror franchises, so come over and check that out.
Definitely go check all of that out. What Cody does on his channel is absolutely excellent. Go over there and hit that subscribe button. Right now, we are going to spoiler talk a movie that you probably have not seen. And you don't need to turn away because this is spoilers, because you don't need to put yourself through this movie. But Cody and I having an epic conversation about it is going to be absolutely awesome.
Like Durbin said about the spoilers, this is kind of like if you send 2 people to scout out an unventured territory that's full of demons and monsters and, drought, and then we come back and say it sucks. Just believe us. Don't go that way. That's kind of how this is going to go.
Cody, I don't even know how to start. It is a disco movie back in 1980, and it's looking at the dystopian future, the faraway future of 1994. And so I guess this is their vision of what 1994 would look like, which is totally weird. And it's about disco love music versus the evil rock and roll music. All the while, the film itself is attempting to be a metaphor for Adam and Eve, temptation, the fall, and the second coming of Christ. I mean, Cody, just take it from there.
I couldn't help but laugh when you were describing the fact that this movie is supposed to take place in 1994, because apparently the makers of this movie back in 1980 decided that in 1994, 14 years in the future, things are not going to advance at all, because everything in this is totally 80s. And it was hilarious. I didn't even pick up on the fact that it was supposed to be 1994 until I looked at the poster and it said, Rock is alive in 1994, or something like that.
So you weren't paying attention during the long exposition scene in the beginning where they kept talking about it being 1994 about 30 times over.
Somehow they did it so strangely and so weirdly that the dates just passed through one ear and out the other multiple times. So, yeah, it was interesting. So basically, I had no idea what to expect about this movie. I didn't read a plot synopsis. I didn't watch a trailer. I didn't look at anything. I literally just got the movie after Ted told me he wanted us to talk about it. We confirmed when we were going to record, and I hit the play button on it, and I don't think any bit of literature could have prepared me for what I just endured.
Yeah, and Ted was nice. Like, he kept messaging me on Patreon trying to, let me know that this movie is terrible, but he can't wait for our reactions to it. But no amount of him telling me how terrible this movie was could have prepared me for how terrible this movie was. And oh my gosh. I mean, it opens with this song about Bim and how Bim BIM is the thing. Cody, did you ever pick up on what BIM even is? Is it an acronym? Does it stand for anything? Like, I couldn't figure that out. Like, do you know what BIM even is? Which is the crux of this movie's plot?
It was the initials for whatever this little coalition is. I don't remember exactly what its initials for, but they are the BIM. That is like their little secret society. That is their code name, I guess. That's kind of what I picked up on. So, yeah, that whole opening music number kind of let me know that I was in for some pain. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh no, it's a disco movie. I don't know if you could have added anything to this movie to be less appealing to me. It's a 1980s German-American 70s style disco Christian parody comedy musical thing. I don't know what to describe it as. But, yeah, I don't... where do we start? I don't even know where to start.
Wait, was it a comedy? Was it a love story? Was it a drama? Maybe we could start there. What genre, other than weird disco love songs versus rock and roll, does this fit? I mean, would you go find this in the comedy section? Would you find this in the drama section? Would you find this in the sci-fi section? What on this green earth could you even define this movie as?
I think you would find this underneath the shelf, underneath the plastic where the dust and the spiders and everything live that you don't find until they take the store out. So it probably more than anything, I'd say that it's 51% musical. Maybe that's the section that you could most effectively categorize it in. Because a lot of singing in this movie, a lot of music, a lot of people dancing around.
So speaking of this thing being a musical, basically it's this couple, Alfie and BB, and they're just, your typical kind of hippie couple. I mean, they're not really hippies, but it's that style of music that those two sing. And according to this movie in 1994, that music is so out of style, nobody likes love songs, but that's what they sing. And at the beginning of this movie, we had the rock and roll group BIM doing their thing, and it got the whole crowd to give this super advanced computer 151 heartbeats, which is like, I don't even know what they're trying to tell me by that, but it just means that they are an awesome band. But then this love duo comes in here, and it turns out they have the ability to compete with rock and roll. So, basically, Mr. Boogaloo, yes, that's his name, Mr. Boogaloo, who represents Satan. I kid you not, this movie's deep and theological on top of everything else, who represents Satan, now decides he needs to get this couple playing the guitar to sign with him so he can be their agent and they could belong to BIM. So, Cody, where do you want to go from there?
At this point, I still had no idea what I was in for because I was like, okay, this is really strangely feeling biblical, and I did not expect that whatsoever. And then I guess the girl, what is it, Bibby, whatever her name is.
Yeah, Bibi.
Bibi, she starts getting drawn to the dark side, and she starts signing the papers, and she takes a bite out of this gigantic apple. Hey, that's where the title comes from. And,
yeah!
Yeah. So she takes a bite of this apple while they're all like, taste it, taste the apple, taste it, come with us.
By the way, this whole thing, taste it, come with us, it was a song. It was a really terrible disco song.
Oh, I mean, you're not going to add it to your iTunes list anytime soon?
No. But I will never get the image of those people dancing as little demons to, her eating an apple the size of a basketball.
So she bites it. The guy does not. He does not want anything to do with this. So she gets drawn into the dark side. She becomes the new rock queen. She's like the Lita Ford of this generation, I guess, for those of you who know who Lita Ford is. And then the guy gets basically erased into obscurity. He's no longer wanted. He's no longer a part of the music scene. So then he's basically, the movie then is a struggle of him trying to get BB back from the dark side or Satan or hell or, the music industry, all of the above, and try to save her. And you get a lot of musical numbers in between there. You get a lot of strange imagery, strange costumes, strange acting. This movie reminded me immediately, if anybody's ever seen the music video by Seventh Element, whatever the hell it's called, Atlas or Alias or something like that. You know what I'm talking about if I'm referencing it. Durbin, you'll put a clip in here to let everybody know. All I can think about is like this, somebody watched that music video on acid and said, I can do better. So,
I mean, Cody, what the hell? I guess what surprised me most was how strangely theological this movie was, because like, on the one hand, I wanted to find it interesting, but then on the other hand, this movie was so bad I couldn't find anything interesting. But you're talking about her, and she's signing the contract. And what was so weird about this scene? Okay, so they go into Mr. Boogaloo's, I kid you not, that is his name, office, so that, you know, BB and Alfie can sign this contract and join BIM, and thus become these giant superstars. So you have your typical temptation scene here, where they're tempted with fame, they're tempted with fortune, they're tempted with success that never could they have garnered on their own, and things like that. And BB, the girl, is captivated by this. But as she's about to sign, all of a sudden, it's the apocalypse outside the window. And then it's not the apocalypse, and everybody thinks he's going crazy. Then he looked at Mr. Boogaloo, and Mr. Boogaloo has horns, because now he's the devil. And then he looks and he sees hell, and we go into that weird disco dance number about please eat the apple. And so, like, after that, I realize, okay, I feel like this movie's trying to be deep. It's trying to do something fun with the songs. It's trying then to have a deeper plot line and a deeper story, because what this is Mr. Boogaloo is the devil, and they're using rock and roll music versus corny 60s love songs as Satan's new world versus God's old world, and oh, look how boring God is, and look how interesting Satan is. And I was like, oh, this might be interesting, and it never gets there. It never gets to that point of interesting, because like Cody said, you go from A to B with various songs in between. By various songs, here's what Cody means. One short little reprieve of disco music, and then a ton of disco music. Short little reprieve of disco music, and then a ton of disco music. And, oh my gosh. Cody, go on with something else. I don't even know where to go from here.
Well, you know what? I came to 3 revelations after I finished this movie. 1 is that I now know what it's like to trip acid. 2 is that when somebody asks me the question, what's the worst movie you've ever seen, now I can actually answer that question. Before, it was like, oh God, there's like 4 or 5 I can think of off the top of my head, but I can't rank them, just some of these. Nope, there's a definitive answer now. And the third one is that if my kids ever get unruly enough to the point where normal parenting cannot effectively transgress their bad behavior, I'll just make them watch this movie until they decide not to. So now, thank you. I have something in there that I can use to battle evil with, is the apple. So,
oh man, thank you, Ted Harrington. Thank you so much. You gave Cody an effective disciplinary tool.
the gift that keeps on giving, Ted. So, yeah, I don't know, man. This thing was like, it just kept getting to the point where I'm like, I don't understand what I'm watching. I don't understand what they're going for. I don't know if they were trying to be like subtle with the theological stuff, because it's not subtle at all. It's like right in your face.
They weren't subtle at all.
No, it's right in your face.
And you know, it's funny though, because when you watch this, it's not like this is a Christian movie gone bad. I don't think, Cody, this is not a Christian movie, right? It's just they like borrowed the themes and that story, and they just put it in there to be deep. But when you watch it, it's like, it's not a Christian movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's almost like they threw it in there for some extra deep layers. Like, yes, we have a layered movie. It's not just a disco movie. It's a layered disco movie. So you got that. And just
Oh, you know what I noticed? Whenever Alfie saw Mr. Boogaloo and he had his weird visions and he saw Mr. Boogaloo as Satan, did you notice he was always missing one of his horns on his forehead? Like one of them had fallen off and they never bothered to glue it on.
I did notice, and I assumed it just fell off like all of the damn stickers that everybody was walking around with. It was like mark of the thorn or whatever. They're walking around, and I don't even think it's because I have an HD TV. I think it was just that poor of a movie that the sticker is halfway peeled off on their head the whole movie. Like you look at it, and it's like somebody just went and just stuck it there and like, all right, you're good for the rest of this production. Wear the same sticker until we're done shooting.
So the amazing thing about this thing, BIM, B-I-M, that I still can't understand how this came into effect. Somehow BIM, which to me started as a rock and roll band, which then moved to being some kind of weird group that's taking over the world through rock and roll music, somehow, without any explanation from the movie, any scenes to show how this happened, BIM itself became a worldwide governmental entity, and you had to walk around with this triangle sticker either on your forehead, your right hand, or anywhere on your body, and if you did not have that, the police pulled you over and gave you a ticket, and if you continued to not have this BIM mark on you, you eventually were arrested. So we go from Adam and Eve temptation to now we are in the tribulation with the mark of the beast with a music rock and roll agent as the Antichrist.
Yes, but have no fear, because by the end of this movie, Jesus will come down and save you in his spiritual Rolls Royce.
those of you who are watching right now, and no doubt you're watching because this is like a train wreck. You can't just turn your head away from it. You would think Cody is joking right now. Cody, are you joking?
No, sir, I am not joking. Not joking whatsoever.
So you're telling me Jesus came in a Rolls Royce in the sky?
Yes, and then he came down, and it was the villain from Lethal Weapon 2, Diplomatic Immunity.
I thought he looked familiar. I couldn't place it. Oh, that's awesome to know that now. Oh my gosh. Well, here's the worst part about it. So as this movie explains to you nothing as you're going through it. So BB at some point realizes she's working for the devil. She decides she wants to find Alfie because Alfie the night before decided to try to come and rescue her. BB wakes up from her spell, she escapes, and it turns out in the space of a day, Alfie left BIM headquarters, met a group of hippies. I kid you not. He found hippies in a drum circle in a park, and they took him in as family. And then they took in her. And then all of a sudden, the movie jumps a year into the future without telling you that. And the BIM people come to arrest BB because she owes them $10 million. And then what happens, Cody? Tell us what happens.
Well, once you get past the fact that the guy that leads the hippies looks like Hagrid from the Harry Potter movies, the skies open up, the clouds glimmer, and a spirit Rolls Royce comes to a stop in the distance. And then Jesus floats down, and it's the guy from Lethal Weapon 2 and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey coming to save you. And he flips his fingers and snaps his fingers, and the contracts and all the arrest warrants disappear in a really bad cut edit. Like, usually whenever you cut edit, it's like, everybody, stand still. Take a shot. Okay, now drop the thing that's in your hand. Okay, I dropped it. Now I'm going to take another shot. Instead, they moved like a foot and a half. It was like, jump. And you're like, God, they couldn't even get a jump edit right. I could do a jump edit right now.
Okay, but if the devil's name is Mr. Boogaloo, Cody, tell us God's name. Tell us God's name. Do it.
Was it Mr. Tubbs?
Mr. Tops.
Mr. Tops. Tubbs is better.
Yes. He calls Alfie and BB forward because they're all being arrested by BIM. Why? Because they're hippies.
Yes.
And so all these hippies are being arrested by BIM because they refuse the BIM mark and they continue to live in peace and love, man. And so God comes up in his Rolls Royce, which, even though it wasn't Rolls Royce, I couldn't get the image of the DeLorean out of my head. Like, right when I saw it pulling up, I thought it was the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and I thought Doc and Marty were gonna get out all of a sudden and whisk these people away to the faraway future of 2015 with flying cars, but that did not happen.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I would rewatch this movie in a heartbeat if that was the real ending. Marty and Doc, it comes up on the sides and it comes out like, Doc, this is heavy. The future sucks. And then it comes back and it just, and they go off and the credits roll. I would have died laughing and I would have been happily doing a revisited review in this in like a year. Like the Apple Part 2. Let's go ahead and get this rolling.
Oh, that would have been brilliant. Oh my gosh. But basically, God invites Alfie and BB, Mr. Tops invites Alfie and BB into his Rolls Royce, which the car, I guess, is a self-driving car. I don't know. Driving them away off into the sky, and then everybody kind of just walks behind the car and follows it, and somehow they go from walking through this field and they're in the clouds. And so Bim is just sitting there, the devil's sitting there. He's like, but where are you going? And God's like, oh, I don't know. I think we'll go to another planet and start over. What? Without me? Yes, without you. And that is literally where this movie ends.
Yeah, that's funny. Like you're describing the movie, and it's just like, that can't be the plot of the movie. I just watched the movie, and I'm like, that can't be the plot of the movie. That doesn't exist. That cannot exist in this earth. It does.
I couldn't believe it existed on this earth. I was watching it with Laura last night, and I think our jaws were just kind of dropped the whole time, like, what? I have never had a movie evoke such a reaction in me. I mean, I've seen bad movies. We all have. We've seen those movies that are so bad they're like train wrecks and you can't look away. But this one was... It was so bad it has a special quality to it.
Yeah. It's like it embodies the word bad. Like now when you measure something that's bad, you measure it against the apple.
Yes.
So if, like, I'm gonna have to revisit every review I've ever given less than a see it on Netflix and go back and say, you know what? I was kind of unfair to this movie because it's not that bad. Like Freddy's Dead was kind of like my standard for bad for the longest time, and it's no longer my standard. It's my standard for almost bad now. So I mean, it's like almost bad. Oh, man.
Hey, Cody, remember when I gave Alien 3 an F in our great big Alien reviews?
Yeah, I remember that.
You know, that movie's actually looking really good right now.
It is. Quality cinema, I'm telling you, man. Quality filmmaking, underrated piece of art.
Yes, it's a complete underrated, with the right perspective, it is an underrated piece of art.
I don't know how much more you could analyze this. Like on the typical review scale, like yes, the acting is bad, the story structure is bad, and the production value is bad, and all of that. Yes.
Oh, and whenever they sang, the lip syncing dubbing thing was off from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. And their mouths over-exaggerated moved to the songs on top of just the dubbing being off. It was awkward on every level to watch this movie. Everything about it was awkward.
Yes, I noticed that whenever the couple first started singing on the Demon American Idol show, and I was like, is my TV slowing down, or is this movie just not dubbed correctly? Because it was one of those things, I noticed it for a while, and after a while I just accepted it and moved on with it. But yeah, oh man, I don't even know. Like, if I was to describe the apple to try to give people an idea, this is like Flash Gordon mated with American Idol. And American Idol was on a lot of drugs during her pregnancy, and the apple was the product 9 months later. That's the best way I can describe this movie.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Cody, rate this movie. I just can't wait to hear this.
I don't even know if my bottom rating really quite says it. I think I need a new rating. I don't really like... Like, my bottom rating is for movies that insult me on a personal level, and I'm angered the fact that it exists. This movie, I'm just baffled and confused and dumbfounded that it exists. So it's like, I don't... WTF, that's my rating. 0 out of 5 WTF with this face.
There it is. There it is. I mean, you know, so I do the letter scale, and so F would obviously be the lowest one, but I have a new lowest rating, and I call that lowest rating the apple.
Yeah.
So any movie that is so bad it drops below an F, I'm going to rate it the apple.
There you go.
So I'm going to rate the apple because I have never seen a movie so unique.
Me either. I've never seen a movie... yeah. Ted, you have changed our outlook forever, my friend.
Cody Leach and I both have Patreon pages, and Ted Harrington gave at that level where he gets to let us know something fun to do. And this was something that he picked for both Cody and I to do, and he did the special request that Cody Leach and I do a roundtable discussion of this movie. So Ted, I hope you enjoyed this roundtable discussion because I took extensive notes of what to talk about, and I still couldn't formulate words and complete ideas around it. It was just, I have never experienced anything like this. So if you want to check out Cody's Patreon or you want to check out my Patreon, check out our levels of giving and rewards and things like that. Cody, go ahead, talk about where they can find you, your Patreon, all that stuff.
Well, you can find me at YouTube at youtube.com/Cody Leach channel, or you can type in Cody Leach. I'll be the first person. My Patreon page is patreon.com/Cody Leach. Pretty easy to find, or you can type my name in the search bar on that one, and I'll be the first one to pop up, unless I have an imposter out there, which I'll hunt them down. But otherwise, you got lots of fun things to find on YouTube if you like movie reviews, music, video game reviews, editorial videos, horror movies especially. I got a lot of stuff to come and entertain you. So come on over to Cody Leach. Check it out.
Awesome. And so definitely go check out his channel, subscribe, check out his Patreon page. Also, check out the other videos I got here. I got lots of movie reviews, both spoiler-free, spoiler talk, trailer reactions, ranking videos, theological analyses, whatever the plural of analysis is. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Anyway, lots of great things on this channel that you can check out. You can also check out my Patreon page. Link is in the description. Cody's link will be in the description too. And yeah, check out our channels. Enjoy it. And I think I'm going to go wash my eyes with soap. So thank you for checking out Durbania. I'm Durbin. This is Cody. Thanks for checking out Durbania.